Look at that, I collected a cone. That thing stuck around for the entire session. I had no idea it was there until I pulled off afterward. So, hello friends, and welcome to a weekend full of kart racing. We had a practice on Friday that looked something like this. Very entertaining, but not at all relevant because the rest of the weekend was dry. And so far, I've really struggled with the balance of my kart in the dry. So, stick around and you'll see just how rough it started and what progress was made. Really got to add some kart stuff to that intro, I guess. But of course, AutoTempest is really about the cars and the channels we sponsor, all of whom are far better at this YouTube thing than I am. So check out the playlists on our channel homepage if you want to see any more of that stuff. And of course, if you want to buy a car and don't want to waste your time going to all the different sites out there one by one, then hit up AutoTempest.com to get everything in one place. Alright, so this is the last and best lap from the first practice session in the dry in the morning, or at least mostly dry. And this coming up is my worst corner of this lap, which, yeah. So that was my, again, best lap of the practice session, and even so, you see I'm still having to catch the rear and stop it from sliding out and scrubbing off time there. And that's basically what I've been struggling with all year so far in the dry. Mid-corner, on the power, the rear of the kart just feels like it's on a knife edge and wants to come around. We've improved it with tuning, and it's certainly a bit better, but I'm still fighting it, especially in that corner and in the last one coming up here onto the main straight, which, as it happens, are by far the two most important corners on the track. And I think I've got a lot better sense of it now, but at this point in the weekend, I really didn't know what was going on. You know, is this because I'm lifting the inside rear too much or not enough, or am I not sending it in fast enough, or am I, you know, getting on the throttle too soon, or what is it? Because I just don't have that feel for the kart yet at this point. Second practice was much the same, got down to a 1 minute 0.5, but I'm still a few seconds off the pace, so on to qualifying. Now I just barely made it to this session for a reason I'll explain in a second, which meant I started way back in the pack and spent most of the time working my way up. That's when I picked up that cone that you might see poke out here again in a minute. There it is. And obviously this lap isn't off to a great start, as I had to take a narrow line into that corner to make the pass there and lost about half a second doing that. But it's also my last chance to set a half-decent qualifying lap. Oh, there's another cone that was my fault. So here we go. Now you might notice that despite missing the apex a bit there, the kart was much better behaved around that corner than in the practice. And I think that comes down to a great suggestion I got in between sessions, which was why I was late starting this one, that widening out the front a bit would help plant that outside rear more and keep the rear more controllable mid-corner. Had to take a passing line through here obviously, so technically lost a little bit more there, but not too bad. And ultimately we're going to come through here with I think a 59.2, which is still, yeah, a second and a half or so off the pace, but I think that's the best dry lap that I've had so far, even with, you know, those couple of passes I had to make. And the main thing is that kart just felt so much more stable. It feels like I finally got something to build on now, so this is awesome. So that lap puts me 11th out of 30. The pole position time was a 57.3, so still a little bit of work to do, but the 5th place time was only a 58.9. And I mean, if I hadn't had to make those passes, I'm on at least that pace. Of course, some of those people probably had to make passes and such too, but there's at least some hope to make up some positions in the pre-final here. That said, I learned my lesson a couple races ago, and where I will not be trying to make up positions is going into this very first corner. We're just going to try and tuck it in on the inside here and not get involved in any kind of chaos. Of course, I'm not going to pass up any gifts either. Okay, good start. The next question will be whether I can take my nemesis corner, the uphill left-hander here, somewhat competently, even with cold tires. And a little tiny bit of a twitch, but not too bad. You can see, though, that I was gaining on the guy ahead of me up until I had that little twitch, and even that was enough to cause me to drop back. But I'm still in touch here, so this is alright. not able to get it tucked over enough to the right there, and I think I was still focusing on that and then didn't get turned back to the left. I really just got behind this whole sequence. You can see that cost me a good few kart lengths. Now fortunately, since my pace had improved in qualifying, I decided to lengthen my gearing by a tooth, which I think really is helping me through this whole flat out section. Another interesting thing that was suggested to me before this session that made a lot of sense is that I might actually be over-slowing into corners, especially these ones where I'm struggling with the rear. And because I've over-slowed, I'm then trying to get hard back on the throttle, and that torque could be what's giving me those little wiggles there. Which at first seems a little bit weird. I mean, a lot of these corners can be taken flat, so how can you be too much on the throttle? But I think it makes sense. If you've over-slowed, you're off too much, and then you're suddenly getting back on it, you're going to get that jolt of torque while the rear's loaded up, and I can definitely see how that could cause it to come around. And speaking of come around, we're going to try and get around this guy, but that was good defense there. But we have at least closed up the gap. And this is where that little bit extra gearing really helps. Also the fact that he dropped off just a touch, so I was getting a bit more of a draft, but that made that relatively straightforward, and got a few more potential targets right here. Now I'm going to switch to the helmet cam for this one, because I want to see what was up with my weird line. I came in really shallow there, probably more than I needed to, but I must have messed up his line as well, because he's not coming right back at me immediately. Now, either I missed that apex by like a mile, or he was trying to tuck up the side there. Unfortunately, even on the helmet cam, you can't quite see that, so let's just assume that that's what happened and it wasn't my own incompetence. Coming around here, yeah, that was alright. And then, again, I could have been more on that last curb, but that wasn't terrible either. Take a glance and nobody there, so safe to go back to the GoPro view. So with that done, I've got some ground to make up now, so hopefully just put my head down and... Oh, wait, what is this? Okay, he obviously really cut in short there to get ahead of me, but, you know, that compromised his corner, so I'm able to come right back. And then, oh, there's a red light there, so I'm trying to... Whoa, jeez. I'm trying to get out of the way and stop, and there's people flying by me. I want to get somewhere out of the firing line here, because it seems like some karts still think it's under green. So I thought about going over here, but with everybody still going, I really want to see this next flagger right around the corner here so that I know what's going on. And they're actually throwing a green, so, I mean, I guess we're going here. This is certainly a bit weird. And now there's a yellow up ahead, so we're definitely going to slow down, you know, arm up just like the kart in front, and just, I guess, slowly going around here to see what is happening ahead. Again, just trying to stay out of the way in case anybody's flying up behind. Hopefully on the front straight here they're going to tell us what to do. And indeed, what they're going to tell us is stop doing anything. So that was a bit chaotic, but they got everything sorted out and got us all back in our order that we were in when the red flag flew. And we're going to start up again here. It's going to be a single file start this time, but other than that, a rolling start like at the beginning. And we're off. So I'm starting, I think, in 6th here, which is honestly probably about where my pace is, if not even a bit optimistic. But we'll see what we can do. So a couple are going to try and go in narrow there. Not a whole lot happening. That compromises them. So I'm going to just see if I can use this run. And yeah, but he's not going to give me that corner too easily, and fair enough. Still, we're in a good spot here. Take right on him. Again, the tires have cooled down, so I was doing well to make my Nemesis corner there without any big slides. And let's try this again. Okay, had to struggle for that a little bit, but got the pass done for now. Gonna move over a little bit here just to go semi-defensive and see if he hopefully tucks in behind me. Of course, Wouldn't that have been lucky? But no, that's expected and fair enough. He's probably a little bit quicker than me anyway, so I don't mind actually slotting in behind here for a bit to see if we can close up with the karts in front. Of course, when I say behind, I'd ideally like to be right behind him, not a ways back like this, so let's work on that. That was by far the best lap I've put in so far, and not only am I not closer, but apparently I'm going backwards. Now, I think a lot of this comes down to just that little bit of a gap that the car ahead pulled on me at the beginning of that previous lap, gave him a draft off of the kart, did I say car? Kart in front of him, that I didn't have as much, and then I assume this guy behind me was right behind me the whole way, and that allowed him to slingshot past. So, yeah, I think I'm definitely in the part of the pack here that corresponds to my current pace. I may have to settle for this 8th in the pre-final at least, but let's see what we can do. Okay, we're closing up a bit with the karts in front fighting through the chicane there, and yeah, we're quite close, but dropped off. He got on the throttle earlier than me, so I dropped off a bit there, and now we've got the white flag. So this is pretty much our last chance. Fortunately, he pulled a bit of a gap there, just like that previous lap, so this is going to be challenging. Hopefully we can do something, and at the very least, hopefully we don't go backwards again here. That was nice. I finally managed to apex that corner properly. Definitely gained some ground there. That one a little bit less so, but didn't have to lift, didn't lose too much at least. And that wasn't perfect, but it was decent. Got a little bit lucky there with one dropping back for a mechanical problem, so do end up with that 7th. And more importantly, that's right, that was a 57.5. Now, sure, it was only over one lap, but that's pretty close to the pace. I think it's fair to say the kart is set up fairly well now, and if I can just work on that consistency, I should be able to get up there. Or, in the words of past me, so I had a 57.5 that session.
You were faster than me.
Well, I had to catch you, so... Holy shit!
Nice work, dude.
Oh, man. Yeah, Zyla said he was running 57.3s, and he was fighting for the lead around the last corner before his chain blew up.
Yeah, I looked. Everybody's in the 57s. We're in the hunt. Like, you saw how close they were when we finished.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, not like half a lap ahead or a full lap ahead like usual, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you heard us. We're in the hunt. So I'm starting, 7th here? And with Silas being quick, I'm going to just try and see if I can end up behind him and move up ahead with him. Oh, and of course, don't wreck at the first corner. I will certainly take that. That's 2 spots gained right away, and if I can just hang on to this, I'll honestly be pretty happy. But I took that corner competently for once, so maybe there's even more in this. I'm gonna be patient though. These guys are all quite fast, so if I can just stick to them, that is plenty. But this guy's going to make a move, so I might as well just see if I can stick right to his bumper. Maybe. That was a bit dicey, but we get it done, although we lose a lot of ground doing it, so I don't know if that was the smartest play, but whatever, you gotta send it sometimes, right? Though I think current evidence suggests it was indeed not the smartest play. Alright, so we're gonna drive smart now. We're gonna drive smart now. Alright, found a little bit of pace that lap, and with this yellow flag in this sector, I won't be tempted to do any... I guess some people are tempted regardless, but yeah, I'm just gonna sit back here and try to follow these guys while they sort this out, and hopefully I can make something of it. And I'll take that. 23 probably got a pretty good run onto me into here, but I've got the draft on 128, and I think I should be able to just make this work this time. And this time I actually don't mind sending it and compromising my exit a little bit, because this yellow flag is still here, so I can take a bit of advantage of that. And I think I actually got a bump from him up the straight here, so that was nice. That was definitely another bump there. I don't know which one of them is bumping me, but I definitely appreciate it. It's going to be a bit of a tall order to catch the next group up ahead, but hopefully if we can work together a little bit here instead of fighting, we might be able to do something. Of course, I'm not going to make it too inviting, so you know, I took a bit of a defensive line through there. I'm going to do my normal line here, though. If one of them wants to send it, that's fine, and I'll just go in behind him for a bit, and otherwise we can carry some more speed through here. At least we would be able to if I could have come anywhere near to that first apex, but at least I did the important part properly. So that lap was a bit of an improvement. Catching the next group is realistically not going to happen unless something crazy happens. So the goal at this point is going to be to just try and drive nice and consistently, and if I'm lucky, build a bit of a gap on the guys behind while they hopefully fight with each other. The opposite of which would be mistakes like that let them pull up beside me. But fortunately I have the inside here, so hopefully I can hold on to this place for now. God, it's still wiggling around, struggling a little bit this lap. Now I decided not to defend into this last corner. There's still, I think, a few laps left, so if he decides to pass me here, that's fine, and I'll just do my best to stick with him. He's probably a bit faster than me anyway, so maybe we can build a gap on the ones behind, and then I can, of course, try for that position toward the end. Although, just like in the pre-final, for that to work, I need to actually be on his bumper, so let's try and get there. Now, honestly, this one caught me completely by surprise, but that's alright. Actually, this might work out. kind of well, because now I'm on him, and it's just amazing how much faster these things go when they're drafting like that. But we can switch things up, and I've still got one in front of me, so this is good. And we're still under yellow here, so I don't have to worry about the guy behind me for this sector at least, and can just focus on sticking to the one in front and closing that gap. Which again, with him in clear air, I was able to get... Oh, what the heck? Okay, that was the second time that guy's passed under yellow this race. But I guess right now we just go with it and hopefully get one of them back. But I must have been thinking too much about what they were doing and not enough about where I needed to go, because I really missed the apex there. So now I go back another place. We're going to try and right that wrong immediately, though. A little bit of a dive bomb, but I think that was fairly clean. He is still right there beside me. That relatively long gearing I'm running right now is definitely helping there. And for the first time this race, I kind of wish that it wasn't yellow here. It's a joke. I mean, I didn't really want a sector to be yellow the entire race, but it was benefiting me quite a bit. Or at least it would have been if the guy wasn't passing under yellow. Again, there. Okay, so this was foolish. I got carried away with the fact that I was gaining on them and decided to try and send it up the side of both of them, which obviously was never going to work. And yeah, all I did was mess up Robbie 23's line and my own there, so that wasn't great. But we'll get it back with that nice long gearing down the back straight here. Or at least we'll get it back because they were fighting. And that looks like the white flag, so we're in last chance territory here. I'd ideally like to have only one of them ahead of me rather than both. And he's going to go for another standard yellow flag pass there. But hopefully I can get... Oh, we're so close here. We can't pass here, though. Still, if I can stick right to him, surely I can get at least one somewhere along the way here. Go for it here. No, I learned my lesson last lap. Okay, realistically, we got one more shot at it into the last corner here. Unfortunately, these guys are smart and probably realize that, but we're gonna see what we can do. Okay, I'm gaining. I can go for the oh, no, okay, I gotta go to the outside. This is the only place to go. But it looks like one of them got squeezed out, and so I gained one position. That other one is not gonna happen, but that leaves me in 5th place, which is pretty good compared to where my pace was at the beginning of this day. So that was Saturday. Not perfect by any means, but definitely my best day of racing so far. So now all I had to do was a little bit of maintenance on the kart and a few tweaks to get it ready, and then tomorrow we'll do it all again.
I was supposed to
Once in a while.
People are talking. People on the internet say once racing.
Yeah.
I gotta bring my stuff tomorrow.
But is it once a race day or once a race weekend, really?
That's my question, right?
This is technically 2 events, right?
I always count as a race weekend because there only be one day, and I'm like...
Deep end-of-day thoughts there. I believe that was, how often do you really need to change the oil? So now it's Sunday and time for qualifying. My pace in the practices was alright, if not great, around the low 59s. Certainly going to need better than that this session. Now fortunately I'm getting out fairly close to the front here, so I'm hopefully not going to have to spend too much time getting a good spot for a lap, and hopefully can put a few good ones in. And I did manage to find a nice little gap, so this ends up being my best lap. Actually, I had two that were almost identical, and this is the first. Unfortunately, I don't really have someone to draft off of or to bump me from behind, but at least I've got a decent gap here where I'm not getting held up. So here it goes. More often than not, how good a lap I have comes down to just how well I managed to send this corner. And that was pretty clean. I actually wonder if it could have helped me having that yellow flag there and just coming in a little bit more cautiously because of it. You know, slow in, fast out, all that. And that was pretty decent too. Maybe not spot on, but, you know, got over to the apexes and no big sliding around. So that's a 58.41, as was one more lap later in the session, which I would show you, except my camera decided it really wanted a good look at this apex instead. And somehow I doubt anybody wants to watch a whole lap from this perspective. Would have been an interesting contrast though. Not the camera angle, but the fact that that lap was not nearly as clean, but had a lot of bump drafting and ended up with exactly the same time. But anyway, on to the pre-final. You may notice we've got a new addition for this session. I finally managed to jank back together a rear GoPro mount, so even though I will have no idea in the race what's going on behind me, you could say we'll have the benefit of hindsight. And with that, we're off. Let's try and get through the first corner. And then, 69 in front of me, nice, is a very fast driver, probably going to win the race. And since I have the benefit of starting right behind him, basically my plan at this point, as it often is going to be to try just to stick to him and see how far that'll take me. Now, right now, it's maybe going to take me past 84 here, though in hindsight, I'm not sure if that was the smartest decision, because that line did kind of lose me touch with the kart in front. I think maybe slotting over to the right behind would have been smarter and might have kept the pack more together here, but that's not what I did. So now I just gotta hope that the guys in front battle a little bit and let me close this gap, because I'm not going to be doing it on pace alone. Actually funny that 84 is Chris, who's a friend of mine. We actually tend to carpool to and from the track together, and on the way up this morning, not this morning, but the morning that you're watching right now, we were chatting about how, given how well the day before went for both of us, that it was pretty much inevitable that this day was going to be a bit of a disappointment. I mean, that's just how learning a new skill works, right? You don't make a huge leap and then just stay there. You tend to kind of go up and then back down and consolidate and feel like you've forgotten everything, and all those kind of fun aspects of progress. So, all that to say, I guess I can kind of blame fate for mildly screwing him over on the first lap there. Now, maybe an opportunity. Two of these guys pulling over to the inside, so they're not entirely in a train at this point. And yeah, I did manage to close up just a little bit, although they're probably going to get a better action off that corner. You can see they're still snaking around, so certainly all going for the draft, and indeed gapping me again here. I'm unfortunately kind of in no man's land, which we can actually see since I've got the rear camera as well. I don't have anybody to push me from behind, and I'm still just... Well, moments like that are definitely not going to help me catch up. I guess I almost got away with that. Certainly could have been worse, but could have been better too. Since this whole section is just about flat, I'm losing all the way through here because of it. And you can see from that handy rear camera that I guess I was complaining about not having anybody right behind me, so that's not a problem anymore. course, Race Me didn't know how close they'd gotten, and so I let them both get up the inside, and I didn't have anywhere to go there as they came back for the second apex, so I had to bail out. And I also didn't even manage to stick to them, so really this is the backwards phase of the race, apparently. I'm actually in almost the same position I was a lap ago, just 2 spots back. But on the track this time, so I guess that's something. And when you stay on the track, the subsequent corners tend to go better too. So that was certainly a decent lap and should be an alright time, but even if I can put in a few of these consistently, it's going to be tough to catch the two ahead working together, as I will now demonstrate. Funny thing is, a couple days earlier I would have been over the moon to put 3 laps in a row in under 58.5, and now I'm kind of disappointed. Of course, all I can do is keep it up and hope something happens up ahead. Unfortunately, that is not the reason why this why this lap is eventually going to become interesting. Doing all right there. I think we're on pace for another 58 something. But as you can see in our handy dandy rear camera, the carts behind are also working in a train. The guy in the front of the train maybe just has better pace than me, or he's getting some bumps along, and either way, they are closing that gap fairly quick. If I wasn't aware of them before, I certainly am now with that nice little bump. Much appreciated. Of course, I think it may have also lulled me into a false sense of security, because I was not expecting this move up the inside. Fortunately, it was only one at least, and at least now I'm in a train of my own. Now here once again is where I need to learn to be more patient. This is a foolish move, especially since I know that there's at least one cart behind me. I should have just stuck on his bumper and worked on catching those carts ahead, now that I finally have someone to do it with, and they're actually not as far ahead as they were before. They must have caught some traffic. I guess now that I've found some pace, that's basically what I'm working on now, is being a little bit patient, knowing when to send it and when not to. Now, first coming around this corner, I'm thankful for the placement of this back marker, as it gives me a bit of a slingshot, but then with the yellow flashing lights, I try to lift, the guy behind me says nope and pushes me through. I kind of understand that, because this part of the track was obviously clear and we were going quite a bit quicker. Anyway, on the plus side, it means we can continue our battle, and this is the white flag lap, so it's getting into now or never time. Fortunately, 97 takes the wider line through there quite competently. Fortunately, 17 gives me a bump from behind. I'm assuming he didn't really have anywhere else to go. But the problem is I've got 97 on the inside of me, and now 17's by, and I've got another cart on the inside. He slides back over. I can't get over to that side to defend because I've had somebody beside me the whole time, and now I'm squeezed out, and I don't know where I could go there. Really, it probably all comes back to making that pass attempt into the uphill left, which was probably not super smart. I guess sometimes even on the now or never lap, never is the better option. Anyway, just the pre-final. Didn't lose too much with that little half spin, so we'll take that and try and make up some positions in the final. So the name of the game here is going to be patience, at least hopefully more than last time. We got lots of time. We can probably make up a place or two, but not if we're sending it everywhere and just going slow as a result. And of course, the first place we will not be sending it is into the first corner. But that actually created a little bit of a dilemma here, because you'll notice the cart I'm behind is taking a look up the inside for a second there, and I was thinking, oh man, do I follow him or do I go swing a little bit wider? But fortunately it all worked out. I didn't wreck. I don't even see carnage behind us, which is awesome. And look at that, I didn't even take the bait and try and send it up the inside here either, although I did, I think, maybe tap his outside rear bumper just a tad there, but no harm, no foul. He goes defensive there. I try and stay in the draft for as long as possible and then get a good line through. Fortunately, get compromised by his defensive line a little bit, but not too bad. Now I do decide to go for the pass, and I think this makes sense. There's already a gap to the carts ahead, so I might as well take this position and see if I have a little bit more pace. So a pretty decent first lap, up from 11th to 9th, but we've definitely got some work to do to catch up if we want more. Bucket of oversteer there. I think I just turned in a touch too late and too aggressively. I'm going to take a semi-defensive line through here just in case the guy behind gets eager after that poor corner. And he is right on me, but is cooperating, and then backed off because of the yellow flag there, so I got a little bit of reprieve. That last sequence is fairly decent, at least up to the final apex there. And still in the 58s, even with that fairly poor corner at the, the key left-hander there, which I think just shows the value of those bumps I was getting. It's a good start to this one. May even be reeling the guys in ahead ever so slightly. Maybe if I could take this corner well. And yeah, that's the best it's been in a little while, so that should help. That was all a bit scruffy though, and had to catch the rear at the end, so definitely lost a few tenths there. Up to that sequence at the end of the lap, I was starting to pull a gap on the cart behind me there, but you can see he's pretty much close back up to me now. Same thing again there, turning in a bit late and losing the rear, trying to pull it in too aggressively. And look, he's right up beside me now. But fortunately, he's also smarter and or more patient than me and knows that bump drafting is the only way that we're going to have a chance of catching the group ahead. His gearing's a bit shorter than mine, which is making the bumping difficult. He almost catches up to me here and then just runs out of revs. Watch the rear camera as we come in here. Ooh, I guess I lifted off a tad early there. Which is too bad, because it was actually nice when he was right on the rear bumper there and we could help each other out more. Though I guess the way I'm driving at the moment, that will likely be the case again soon. Though without it, I finally apexed that corner properly, so that's something. And that one's pretty good too, putting a decent lap together here. Still a bit weak through that last sequence though. My line's getting compromised toward the end, and I'm not able to get on the throttle nearly as early as I'd like to be. Ends my streak of 58s too. Had to be a bit careful there, but got by without getting held up too much. And it looks like the group ahead might have actually got held up a bit more, because I think I am closer to them than the previous lap. And that was a bit better, so we should be in for a half-decent lap time this time too. Ah, my favorite lap time, it appears. And that's built me a bit of buffer from the cart behind, but unfortunately that also means I'm not going to be getting those bumps anymore, so it's going to become difficult again to gain ground on the ones ahead. However, I'm finally starting to get into a flow here, so anything's possible. Car or kart, it's just a great feeling when you know exactly how much grip you're going to have. Know is even really the wrong word. Like you feel how much grip is there, and you just know that you can trust it when you send it into the corner. There we go, that was clean too. Avoided overslowing too much. Clean line, good exit, and there we go, times are improving. Of course, we're only marginally closer to the carts ahead, but as we get into the last couple laps here, I think they will probably start fighting more, and we might have an opportunity. Yeah, we are getting a little bit closer, for sure. I was right on the edge there, but that was actually the best I've taken that corner all race. I turned in and let off just a little bit earlier, which let me get on the apex better, and then I was able to get back on the power a bit sooner. Had to just dance around the rear end a little bit, but managed to keep it under control and not scrub off any speed. And look at this, we're really starting to close up now. So I'm starting to get close enough to get a draft now, and he's lost touch with the ones ahead, so I should be able to close the rest of this gap quite quickly. Yeah, you can see it. Look, it just evaporates. And so I'm not going to waste any time. Might as well just send it right in here, and I was actually fairly proud of that pass. Of course, now he's all over me and obviously is quick, so let's see if we can hold on to this for another lap and a half. Or at least another corner and a half. Now, this is going to look really stupid, but the issue here is that I didn't know that it was lap 9 of 10. So, I did not defend too hard there, and he goes right back past. Now, that's not the end of the world. I'm still right on him. I'm going to get another opportunity here. But I do wish I'd learned a lesson at that point, because I'm not going to have any excuse next lap. But for now, he's taking a defensive line into the first corner here, so I'm going to swing out wide and just try and carry a lot of momentum and hopefully catch up to him at a good time coming onto this short little straight here. Actually start to catch him a touch early there, so I just lift off briefly so that I can catch at the right time here and send it up the inside. This worked pretty well as I was able to make the pass and cut off his exit, so as long as I stay over defensively here, he can't really go up the inside of me here. And this back marker is actually placed perfectly because I can get a draft from him onto this straight to stay ahead. Now all I need to do is move to the right to defend. The right? No! What am I doing? Oh, I get a lucky position here as I guess something went wrong for him. And still a great race and a great finish, but all I needed to do was defend that last corner, and I don't know why I didn't. But next time, I will. Also a great race by Todd in the 57, now ahead of me. Stuck to me through the entire race and timed his pass perfectly at the end there, made up 2 positions, so nice job there. And that's it. What an incredible weekend. Given that it was impossible for Sunday to live up to the standard of Saturday, it really couldn't have gone much better. I felt like I made huge improvements in pace and consistency in the dry, and even made some decent moves along the way. Just need to keep working on when and where to send it, when to be patient, and when to defend. If I can keep this up next time though, maybe I can hang with the lead pack a bit more. Until then, I hope you enjoyed watching me drive around, and I hope to see you next time, or out on the track.